talks about their miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. So I think a combination of both of them, that you have to tread your own route and trust yourself to walk that, and give it your best. I'm sure that things fall in place.
So I'd like to invite you to our next episode of Illuminescence. So I would like to ask you, having pursued electrical engineering at IIT, at what point of time and how did you decided that electrical is not what you want to do in future, and what inspired you to opt civil services as your career?
So, Ruchika, um, I'll tell you a small story about myself when I was as young as I think 13 years old, and I read something about astronomy and space, and I got completely intrigued by it, and I wanted to be an astronaut. And then I shared that with my parents, and then they said, "अरे astronomy मत करो बेटा, पहले engineering कर लो, उसके बाद देखना हो सकता है you can become an astronaut too." And the love of maths and physics and science in general, I thought that's not such a bad ask, and I wanted to become an engineer subsequently, and I loved every moment of my 4 years. But when it came to deciding what I had to do next in my career, I was a little lost in terms of what was happening all around us, and how the number of core jobs that were available that time were far and few, and things have changed drastically over the years. But that time, a lot of us were going into either doing an MBA, or even the jobs that were the highest paying were more related to non-core jobs, and that did not seem right to me. And I was like, I did not do engineering to be doing this. Is this what I really want to do? And then subsequently, after speaking to many people, and I think at the back of my mind, since my father was also in the civil services, subliminally I had this bent towards pursuing this career, and it just fit into the right place somewhere mid third year, and I thought I want to take my attempt for whatever it's worth, and that's how it all started.
It was very amazing. Your journey is really very amazing. So there must be so many ups and downs in your life. Everyone has, but it is very crucial to keep your mental health very positive and take care of your own self. How did you do that? What was that one thing that always kept you positive?
I think it's a very pertinent question that you're saying. The 4 years in IIT, actually, it's a jolt from the blue. You live a very protected life. I think that's true for any student for that matter, but more so for your, I think many of us would have felt it. We are at the top of our class, and suddenly we come to a place where everybody is as smart, if not smarter than you. And, it's quite intimidating. For me, it was at least. And subsequently also, there have been many ups and downs. For example, my first attempt, I couldn't qualify the prelims, and it was quite a shock for me. And subsequently also, there have been many times where you feel very low, and you feel that is this what I was meant to do, and the struggles become harder. But what keeps at least kept me moving was a lot of family support. be it my parents, my partner, my husband's family, my children, and right from the beginning, the support system, my friends, the group of friends we were in. I think of anything would have been possible without those elements being in place. And I would recommend everybody to have that kind of a support system where you can share your thoughts, what you're feeling, and what difficulties you're facing. And if you keep that communication channel open, that itself is a very...
So, moving on to the next questions, can you please tell about some positives and the negatives of bureaucracy?
Bureaucracy has a lot of negative to it. But to tell you the truth, I'm a strong believer of processes, and throughout life, I have tried to simplify it into steps, whether it was preparation for JEE or preparation for the IAS, or as I deal with my everyday office work. I draw a lot of inspiration from the processes that have been laid over time. I see that in the services also, there are a lot of processes that are put in place. It may not be as relevant today, and that is how bureaucracy has resulted in having such negative connotation, because we stick to the rules for the sake of them, and जैसे बोलते हैं लकीर के फकीर हो जाते हैं हम कभी कभी. But if you take it in the right spirit and you know what the end is, and the means to that somehow fall in place, and you don't have to become the slave of the processes sometimes, as long as you understand why they were made and the objective of it, and thereafter you can derive and make your own processes and set them into rules which your successors can follow. There has to be what should I say? There has to be a mechanism to make these relevant. Our government processes, the red tapeism that is often, sneered upon. I think we are getting there. A lot of development has happened, and I think we are doing better in terms of cleaning up systems and having better systems in the government to have faster, ease of doing business, etc.
Do you feel any issues at your workplace for being a female officer? Are gender differences still pertaining in this field relating to opportunities?
Somehow I have been lucky, and I think in the service, in the IAS, there are a lot of women officers. Though we are fewer in number, we unanimously, feel, I would like to say it on behalf of a lot of my colleagues as well, that we have been not only treated as equal, but at times we have been given the responsibilities which were thought of as, the more difficult ones. And I have heard many times even political leadership saying that this job a woman will do it better than her male counterpart. Multitasking, in terms of empathy for others, in terms of how meticulous women are, and that I think to a large part I would give credit to our seniors who have set the tradition, and we have large shoes to fill. And I hope we'll carry on like this. The women officers are doing amazing.
Yes, it was completely amazing. So one of the very common doubts of our students is, what is the correct time to start the preparation, and whether they should sit for placements or not. Most of the students are completely juggling between placements and preparations. So how did you overcome that situation, and what advice do you want to give students regarding the same?
Right. I'll tell you my story. Like I said, that I took the decision somewhere end of my third year, beginning of my fourth year, and our campus is right next to GSRI, so it's very easy to access good, if not best, the coaching, etc. Also, there was a sense of urgency for me to try and get over with the preparation and the exam, and but having said that, and I got through in my second attempt. I was very confident that I'll get through my first attempt, but of course that did not happen. Seeing my experience and the experience of many of my friends, I feel that there can be at different levels of readiness for everybody. I don't regret having taken my first attempt right out of college, but I have seen a lot of my colleagues who have done 3 to 4 years of service in the private sector, in other fields, and then having taken the time off, or during their while they were working, they were preparing and took the exam and qualified with good marks. So it depends on you whether you feel ready to jump in, or you want to see experience the working life, experience at least 2 to 3 years before you decide that this is the field for you. So I think it depends from person to person. Regarding it was a very difficult time for me in the sense that I remember doing classes. The fourth year is more like having classes in the morning, and then there were tutorials and labs in the afternoon. So I had to make a balance where the day I had labs, I would go to my preparation classes later, and the day it wasn't so, I would still be able to asking for notes for the classes that I missed, coming late after dinner. Dinner would be served and finished by 8:30, and then my friends would keep my thandi roti and this thing in my hot case, and then making Maggie, and all those things are very nice memories. But of course, there were difficult times where I was trying to balance both, and still scared that I'll miss the train of placements. And I got my job in the fourth year. I did 1 month of it. I had come out clean with my employers that I was preparing. I was waiting for my prelims results, and I had to prepare for my mains. And when I did not clear it, I decided that yes, it's time that I fully prepare for my second subject. That time there used to be 2 optional subjects. So striking the balance was difficult, but it was something that I had to do. I had to keep my options open, and that is why I took my the exams, the preparation, the plans, as well as the the prelim exam. So yeah, it was a difficult year, but I don't regret.
Ma'am, can you share some interesting stories of your IITD life? What were the activities in which you were involved in, and what did you gain from IITD?
I think I was very fortunate. I think 4 years of IIT makes you strong mentally to the extent that it half prepares you for life.
Exactly.
It's quite rigorous. The first 14 days gives you the glimpse of it, and the harshest of them all, where the night outs, preparing for a cultural program as well as a quiz at the same time, not having your adequate 4 hours of sleep, which would be hard to get, and the support system that we have in hostels, from seniors to your batchmates, all of it together was a complete a lifetime of learning experience for me. I would say that one of my fondest of memories would be my final year project, where I had told my BTech professor, my BTech project professor, I was preparing for my exams, and I mean, I would have very little time to dedicate to this, but he won't have that for an answer. He made sure that I gave it my best shot, and the trust that he put in me, saying that you can do both, and that is the kind of support system I'm talking about. The faculty has also a lot of role to play in our lives, and the fact that they put trust on us and support us through it has also, gone a long way in building that faith in ourselves also. So lots of fond memories. One of them is this.
So, as you said earlier, that at that time there were 2 optionals. So, my next question would be that how should one choose their optional, and which subjects are more scoring and more easy? Is there any benefit for IITians if they choose science and engineering subjects as their optional? And what were your optional subjects?
So, choosing of optionals is very critical. I'll tell you what my thought process was. I had geography and psychology as my optionals. How that happened was because I'm going to take my prelims in my 4th year itself. I think exams happened right 1.5 months after our final exams. And within that short period, I only prepared for my first subject and GS. And I had not prepared my second optional. Why I had taken my first optional as geography was because I had gone through the syllabus and the question papers, and I had found it to be it was very familiar with what I had read in my school days, and I felt that I will be able to do this in a very limited span of time and do it well. Electrical engineering was one of the options, but I knew that within this short period of time, I will not be able to entire span of the syllabus to be covered. And that is why my first optional was definitely not going to be electrical engineering. But by the time my second optional had to be selected, which was while I was doing my induction for my the job that I had got, I did not have the comfort even to go to the coaching institute for my second optional. So I was actually thinking of doing it from home on my own. And within those 3 months, because there is a 3 to 4 month gap between the prelims and the mains, that was the only optional, which was psychology, which is the shortest period that you can, prepare. And that was my criteria. But having said that, I know of people who are very confident in taking up their electrical engineering even in their first attempt. And I know of many friends and colleagues who have batchmates who have taken electrical engineering, have been very confident with doing that. Of course, they did not take their first attempt in their final year. So that was one of the criteria. Humanities subjects, if an engineering student has to take, he has to have the knack for it. I found newfound love for psychology and history, and it was very enjoyable as and when I was attending classes and reading new material on it, and it was quite refreshing. So that way it was very helpful. But in terms of confidence, physics, something that is very down the alley for a lot of us as engineers, is one of the favorite subjects. Mathematics is, and so is electrical engineering. So you should go through the syllabus, see where your comfort zone and how confident you are, and it depends from each student to student. So optional subjects should be a personal choice.
Completely agree. So current affairs is very important for UPSC. What are your strategy? How did you prepare for current affairs, and what did you want to say about newspaper reading, etc.?
Right. So I was a newspaper geek even from the very beginning, from school days itself. Loved reading the newspaper, but not the way we have to read for UPSC. There used to be a joke going around that तनु तो न्यूज़पेपर ऐसे पढ़ती है जैसे encyclopedia पढ़ रहे हैं. So it used to be quite funny. The front to back, you will be able to cover everything. But as we progressed from first attempt to second attempt preparation, I understood that there is limited time for everything. So like you said, current affairs is very important, especially now how the syllabus is structured. It lays more emphasis on general studies and current affairs, and there's just one optional, not two. And the weightage is also more, I felt, towards general studies, etc. So for general studies, expanse is very, very important, and the depth is important, maybe selectively. Ensuring that you read the newspaper every day is important, but you can't be spending hours on the newspaper, I felt. I used to listen to All India Radio at the 9 o'clock news, which I still do, and I would say the quality is not as good as it used to be, but yeah, that time, if you heard that 15 minutes of news, it more or less covered everything for that day. And the opinion column of at least two good newspapers used to be very important. Reading magazines used to be important in terms of having a nuanced view about the national and international affairs. Also, listening to the news used to help because your thought process changes a lot. You're having an internal mental conversation about things. Listening to the news when it used to be a dual view, like an interview, that also used to help. And listening to international news like the BBC, etc., helps a lot. And of course, general studies, at least at our times, used to be very much related to the NCERT books. So once you have the base very clear, your NCERT books, etc., is very clear, then to build on top of that, the analysis in terms of, the history, but how things relate to each other, they come together after you have, built the cake, then you make the icing. So making the icing can only happen once you have the cake steady. So once you know your basics, then when you read more and read more about something that you like, then things come together better. So I think first you make the base, having your base in geography or civics, economics, and your history, science and technology, etc. Then you build on that, read more, read selectively, prepare like that, and prepare based on the last year's question papers. So that helps a lot.
Okay, ma'am, do you want to give any tips for the students who are preparing now? Is there any do's and don'ts that we should strictly follow for UPSC?
Amongst the do's, there are just too many. So I'm sure that a lot of students are doing their best in terms of the preparation. One of the few things that I felt, the mistakes that I did was in my first attempt, I was not exposing myself to the mock exams, for example. I didn't take enough. That is why maybe I was the confidence or the overconfidence that came that I would qualify in the first attempt. The second I felt was, to that effect, you have to open yourself to the feedback mechanism. So you ensure that once you are preparing, you keep taking those exams in which at least 100, if not 1,000 people are participating. You see where you rank yourself, whether you are amongst the top or not, where you went wrong. So this feedback mechanism, be it in GS, be it in your CSAT preparations, if you keep doing that and reorienting yourself, it becomes very important. I still remember for geography, I was very sure I did very well in my prelims. I probably missed it by a mark or two, um, but the second attempt, I was so cautious that I was taking so many mock exams, and I was making sure that which section is it in the multiple choice questions for the prelims that I am failing. Where am I going wrong? Where are the tricky or difficult? And those sections I would prepare again, so that the next time around, if the weightage of that section is as much, I would see myself, did I do less mistakes? So very meticulously, if you prepare, you know exactly what is happening, you feel more in control. Especially civil services, being so many students writing the exam every year, you cannot judge the preparation levels of others, and it's completely competitive. So ensuring that you keep abreast with what is happening around you, what is the level of competition, where are your weak points in the preparation, and brushing them further, this feedback loop will help a lot. And planning your time, planning your preparation helps a lot. So very unemotionally, very objectively, you have to prepare for this exam.
Is there any advice that you want to give to the students of IIT Delhi?
After 15 years of being in the service, I think that my experiences have influenced how I talk to youngsters. And coming from there, I would say that you cannot become a slave of the things that happen to you, because you had little role to play in it. Life is too complex, too many things out of your control, and if you keep trying to control those, then you feel as if you are powerless. So you have to understand that you have come this far at your own capabilities because of the hard work that you have put in, and the same thing can be repeated over and over again, the cycle. And you have to have faith in yourself, and there are lots of, like the first question you asked, ups and downs in life. You have to know that there has to be a down before the up comes. And if you see the larger scheme of things, then your current difficulty or current failure will just seem smaller. At that time, it may loom large on you, but you have to take an eagle's eye view of the things. I am a strong believer of hard work and being truthful to yourself. So if you are true to yourself, and if you are compassionate and kind to others, and if you work hard, then things happen in the right direction. So you have to trust yourself, and I think those are the few things that I tell to my daughter also, and I'll tell to the students as well.
Ma'am, can you tell us your favorite motivational quote?
So I don't have anything very favorite, but I think that two of them, one of them being Jodi to Dak Chule, Shune Kyo Na Ashe Tale Ekla Cholo Re, and on similar lines, there's this Robert Frost's poem about the I'm forgetting how it goes, but it talks about the miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. So I think a combination of both of them, that you have to tread your own route and trust yourself to walk that, and give it your best. I'm sure that things fall in place.